In 1519, Spanish soldiers crossed into a city that broke every rule they had ever known. Tenochtitlan, a metropolis of 250,000 people, cleaner than Paris, rivaling the might of Venice, built on shimmering water in just 194 years since its founding in 1325. How did this city rise? And why did no one in Europe believe it could exist? What happened next changed the world forever. Before we continue, if you enjoy postcards from history like this one, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the channel. It keeps us going. Thank you. On November 8, 1519, Hernán Cortés and 400 Spanish soldiers crossed the causeway into Tenochtitlan. The city seemed to ripple out endlessly before them, a living maze of canals and shimmering rooftops. The air buzzed with the sound of thousands, men, women, children, going about their day in a place that felt impossible. Cortés's party, dwarfed by the crowd, moved forward in stunned silence. The official count placed the city's population at 200,000, maybe more, a figure that eclipsed every city the Spaniards had ever known. Bernal Díaz del Castillo, one of the conquistadors, later wrote that some among them wondered if they were dreaming. For these men, used to the cramped, muddy streets of Europe, Tenochtitlan was a vision that defied logic, a metropolis so vast and alive that it swallowed their small band whole. At the dawn of the 16th century, Tenochtitlan soared beyond anything seen in Europe. Paris, the continent's largest city, held about 150,000 people. London had just 50,000. Tenochtitlan's population, 200,000, perhaps more, matched Paris and left London in its shadow 5 times over. Only Venice and Constantinople could claim a similar scale, yet neither was built from scratch on a lake in less than 2 centuries. Founded in 1325, Tenochtitlan grew from a cluster of islands into a metropolis of canals, causeways, and bustling neighborhoods. The city served as the beating heart of an empire that ruled over 5 million people across the Valley of Mexico. For the Spaniards, the sheer size and order of the city seemed impossible. Bernal Díaz del Castillo wrote that some of our soldiers asked whether the things we saw were not a dream. The numbers alone defied belief, but the reality of the city was even more astonishing. 3 great causeways stretched out from Tenochtitlan's island heart, each wide enough for 10 horses to ride side by side. These stone and earth roads cut across Lake Texcoco, linking the city to the mainland. At night, wooden bridges along the causeways could be pulled away, turning the city into a fortress surrounded by water. But the true genius lay beneath the surface. In 1453, the poet-king Nezahualcoyotl completed a levee up to 16 kilometers long, separating the fresh southern waters from the brackish north. This massive barrier tamed the lake, shielding Tenochtitlan from floods and keeping its canals clear for travel and trade. The city's life depended on the chinampas, artificial islands built in the shallow lake beds. Workers staked out rectangles as long as a football field, then layered mud, lake sediment, and decaying plants. Willow trees anchored the edges with their roots. These chinampas produced crops year-round, feeding hundreds of thousands. Their legacy survives today in Xochimilco, a living remnant named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987. Every morning, the city awoke to a rhythm of commerce and ceremony. Tlatelolco's main market drew 60,000 traders daily, more than twice the crowd of Salamanca, Spain's largest marketplace. Goods arrived from every corner of Mesoamerica: cacao, obsidian, turquoise, brilliant feathers, and cochineal dye, all ferried in by the Pochteca, the professional merchant guilds who navigated trade routes stretching hundreds of miles. Officials watched every transaction, ensuring fairness and order in the city's economic heart. Rising above the city, the Templo Mayor dominated the sacred precinct. Its twin pyramids soared 90 feet, as tall as a modern 9-story building. One side honored Tlaloc, the rain god. The other honored Huitzilopochtli, the god of war. Moctezuma expansion in 1454 turned the complex into a walled sanctuary of 78 buildings, a place Cortes described as large enough to hold a town of 400 inhabitants. Cleanliness shaped daily life. Most residents bathed twice a day, while Emperor Montezuma bathed 4 times, using soaps from native fruits and roots. Every building included a temazcal, a steam bath, and the streets were swept each morning by families and public workers. 2 aqueducts, built between 1466 and 1500, delivered fresh spring water from Chapultepec, more than 4 kilometers away, while waste was collected by canoe and reused as fertilizer. In London, centuries later, people still drank from the polluted Thames. Here, water, trade, and ritual worked together to create a city that set a standard Europe could only imagine. Bernal Diaz del Castillo tried to capture the feeling in words. He wrote that when they saw so many cities and villages built in the water, they were amazed, and said it was like the enchantments from the story of Amadis. The city seemed to float, its stone buildings painted in colors that shimmered over the canals. Hernán Cortés, writing to the King of Spain, compared Tenochtitlan to Seville and Cordoba, cities at the heart of Spanish pride, yet here on a distant continent stood a place that matched or even surpassed them. For a moment the Spaniards could only marvel, suspended between disbelief and awe, surrounded by a vision they never expected to find. On August 13th, 1521, Tenochtitlan fell. The city that once stood above the waters vanished beneath rubble and ash, buried by centuries of new stone and concrete. In 1978, workers digging in the heart of Mexico City struck the ruins of the Templo Mayor. Even now, subway crews unearth pottery, bones, and carved stones, silent traces of a city that refuses to disappear. Beneath Mexico City's streets, Tenochtitlan still surfaces, artifact by artifact. Its legacy challenges what we call progress. The future of cities may depend on remembering what this one achieved. Share your thoughts below.